Hi, I'm Jeff Hinkle, President of Global Net Access in the AtlantaNAP. Today we're going to go over the key elements that make the AtlantaNAP Atlanta's most mission-critical facility for your data hosting and colocation needs. Those are the security of the facility, the electrical infrastructure, the cooling infrastructure, the physical building attributes and the building infrastructure, ease of access for load in and load out of equipment, as well as the fiber and communications in the facility. Security of the AtlantaNAP is taken very seriously. It's made up of several key components. The first thing you'll notice when you pull up to the AtlantaNAP is the entire property perimeter is surrounded by a fence with razor wire at the top. This prevents people from moving or traversing in and out of the property. Especially at night, you may have employees coming over at 3 and 4 a.m. to do overnight maintenance. This gives them a secure area for them to pull their car in, park, the gate closes behind them because it's card keyed entry. Within the facility we have armed guards, which are typically off-duty police officers. They make the rounds, they check all of our key infrastructure and systems and log them in addition to our online building maintenance system, and they just provide a higher level of physical security in case anything were to happen at the NAP. We also have video surveillance on all key areas of the building, including customer approach areas as well as key areas in the data center. This is recorded 24/7 to a secured video server which is backed up off-site. We also have card key access on all key doors, and then on top of that, for key areas of the data center, we have biometric authentication to ensure that no one is trading card keys or no one has stolen one. Electrical infrastructure. According to multiple surveys, this is the #1 consideration when selecting mission-critical data center facilities. The AtlantaNAP has taken a Tier 4 electrical infrastructure approach, which means we have multiple redundant UPSs, generators, as well as multiple feeds out of different paths of the building to different substations. If you drew it, it would look somewhat like this. The outer shell of the building, or the footprint, with the front of the building and the back of the building. On the front, in your typical data center approach, you have the utility feed coming from a substation, which we'll call substation A, to transformers. It could be one or multiple transformers depending on your critical load. These feed through gen sets. We have actually set up multiple parallel N+1 for our clients that only take a single feed, which gives them a higher level of redundancy. These feed primary A feed UPSs, which also are in parallel N+1 redundant for more redundancy. And those feed a primary A feed for your servers, otherwise known as critical load in the facility. The step that we've taken that goes beyond most other facilities in the area and gets you to the highest level of electrical redundancy that you can achieve in a facility is to bring in a completely separate B feed. Our B feed, we have received special approval from the city, which allows us to bring it into the back side of the building down a diverse electrical path. You've seen this many times when people and companies construct a network, and we thought, why should we not be doing this for electrical as well? So we've brought in from substation B, which is a completely different substation feeding load, down a different route through the back of our building along a public right-of-way. There's no public traffic, this is just a right-of-way, to a transformer set in the back of the building. We have a B feed generator that it feeds through, to our B feed dedicated UPSs, and then those feed through a different electrical path from the back of the building to feed the secondary B feed portion of your critical load. It doesn't get any better than this, and this is why many critical life support hospitals, as well as online software as a service companies, choose the AtlantaNAP as their home. The AtlantaNAP runs a completely N+2 redundant cooling infrastructure. It starts with allowing us to run completely off the grid if anything happened to the city in a drastic storm or any kind of other public problem. If you were to draw it, it would look much like this. We have a well on our facility which taps an aquifer and allows us to run all of our makeup water for our external chillers self-sufficiently without utilizing the city for water. We have a backup tap to the city water that allows us, with a manual intervention, to go back to city water if we ever lost our well feed. This then feeds our 4 cooling towers, which are parallel N+1 redundant. The cooling towers then feed a common set of headers and pumps, which are all N+1 redundant. And those pump to and from our cooling towers. And then those feed a large loop, which we're able to close off and reverse feed that loop whenever we need to do maintenance within the facility, which feeds our crack units, which are strategically located all through the facility. We have enough crack units to handle our primary load, plus 2 to 3 extra crack units at all time for if we need to do maintenance or we have other issues within the facility. Additionally, on part of our facility, we have gone to an air-to-air exchange system. The air-to-air exchange system brings in air through a filtration system. Then it allows the air to come into the facility and exhausts the hot air from the roof of the building to give us a much more efficient operating manner, as well as it gives us extra capacity in case we were to suffer any kind of a catastrophic cooling failure within multiple systems. We are rolling this out also on our phase 2 of our building as we speak, due to the success that we've had in our phase 1. The AtlantaNAP building infrastructure has several key advantages in its use as a data center. First, the floors are made of concrete 10 inches thick with 1-inch rebar. This gives us the ability to handle key complex loads without doing studies on them. This includes batteries and IT equipment. The walls are actually made out of CMU with a solid brick exterior, and they are not load-bearing. The roof is all concrete, either pre-stressed concrete plank and or a solid poured concrete roof, which gives us good wind load resistance as well as damaging hail resistance. Finally, in its former life as a warehouse, it was built above grade 4 feet for dock height. This allows us for any kind of water events to be avoided in a flood situation, whereas a data center that might be constructed on a single floor with no dock height could be vulnerable to this. One of the many things that customers don't think about is getting their equipment in and out of a data center. Many times in downtown facilities it's difficult and requires crane lifts or helicopter lifts, removing windows from the sides of buildings, and or using very small freight elevators where you have to take equipment apart. Here at the NAP, in its former life as a warehouse, it was structured for moving loads in and out quickly and easily. We have constructed the facility and the layout of the data centers to maintain that ease, with large load-in, load-out dock doors, as well as aisleways in and out of the data center that accommodate forklifts as well as pallet jacks. Finally, on our raised floor section, we have maintained key load-in and load-out wells that allow the forklift to move in, set the load of the IT equipment up on the raised floor, which allows you to populate your actual cage or private suite in a very quick and efficient manner. The AtlantaNAP maintains telecommunications access to key carriers within the city of Atlanta. Many of these are located on net within the AtlantaNAP. Others are available in access through Metro E connections at gigabit and 10 gigabit levels, as well as dark fiber back to key carrier hotels at different locations within the city. There are many options, including Global Net Access, which is a sister company to the AtlantaNAP, and other key IP providers within the facility. The amount of transit that takes place within the facility also gives you key pricing at the lowest point versus having an external standalone data center. Why should you locate your equipment within the AtlantaNAP? We believe it is important in today's competitive environment, as IT becomes more and more central to the organization, for key IT managers and C-level executives to focus on their core business. This core business typically is software related for the systems that make that core business happen and function correctly. This can make the difference between competitive advantage to turn a profit and not. Operating a data center as well as equipment is the lowest level of the value chain within the IT proposition. We believe that we do this better at a higher level of nines as well as redundancy and fault tolerance than an internal organization would be able to do themselves. And this allows the organization executives to free up their time and focus to direct it towards those key core value activities that will produce ROE for the organization and enhance the bottom line. Much of this comes from scale, as well as the fact that operating the data center is our core competency where we derive our value proposition. Scale includes the level and number of UPS generators and other systems and the redundancy that is able to be built in to a much larger facility than an internal IT organization would develop or build into their own facility for the same cost points.